Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmene Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Now we'll begin our text, the Chhandogyopanishad. So, Chhandoganam Upanishad, Chandogyopanishad. The Upanishad pertaining to Chhandogaha. Chandamsi Gayante, the Chhandogaha. The singers of Chandas or singers of Veda are called Chhandogaha, Chhandoga. And the Upanishad of this Chhandogaha, Tesham, is called Chandogyopanishad. It belongs to Samaveda of the Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. Of the four Vedas, Chandogya Upanishad belongs to Samaveda. Again, there were supposed to be 1,000 recensions of Samaveda, but a very few are available now, and most popularly available there is one recension of Kauthuma, Jaiminiya, and Ranayaniya. These three shakhas or recensions are available, of which the Chandogya Upanishad belongs to the Kauthuma recension, and Kenopanishad is another Upanishad of Samaveda that belongs to the Jaiminiya recension. That is just for general information. Basically, this Upanishad, two Upanishads that we study of the 10, the Kenopanishad and the Chandogyopanishad, they belong to the Samaveda. Rigveda, you know which Upanishad belongs to Rigveda? Aitareya Upanishad. And Shukla Yajurveda, Ishavasya and Brihadaranyaka. Krishna Yajurveda, Kathopanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad. Very good. Atharvaveda, Mundakopanishad, Prashnopanishad, Mandukya Upanishad. So, these are of many Upanishads. These 10 Upanishads are primarily studied because Bhashyakara has written the Bhashya on these 10 Upanishads. Therefore, it's traditional to study these 10 Upanishads. Traditional. That doesn't mean that you study all of them, or you confine your study only to them. There is no such rule. But this is how traditionally these 10 Upanishads are taught. And traditionally there is a sequence in which they are taught: Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Munda, Mandukya, Taittiriya, Aitareya, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka. Although we don't necessarily follow that sequence, whatever be the reason for that sequence, we may follow our own sequence in terms of the increasing complexity of the Upanishad. So perhaps Swami will take Kathopanishad as the first Upanishad, possibly, or Mundakopanishad, then Kiranopanishad. So, in the increasing complexity. And Chhandogyopanishad is one of the last, and the Brihadaranyaka, the last one generally taken. And they are the largest Upanishads. Brihadaranyaka is the largest Brihat Aranyaka. It belongs to the Aranyaka section of the Veda, Shukla Yajurveda. The Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishads are found in one of those things. Upanishads are found in Brahmana sections or the Aranyaka sections. Chandogya Upanishad is found in the Brahmana section of the Chandogya Brahmana, which has the 8 Brahmanas, and this is second of this, called the Chandogya Upanishad. That is called Upanishad, is because of the subject matter it deals with. And so again, traditionally, these are coming down to us. And Upanishads are usually found in the Brahmana section or the Aranyaka sections. With an exception of one that we know of, and that is the Ishavasya Upanishad, which is found in the Samhita section of the Shukla Yajurveda. And so there is a dispute there whether it's an Upanishad or not. Because Samhita is all mantras. And mantras can be called pramanam by Mimamsakas. Only the mantras have their application in Karma Kanda. That's how the Mimamsakas connect all the mantras of the Samhita section with one or the other karma, one of the rituals. Amnayastu kriya satvat anasakyam atadarthanam. If there is a passage in the Veda, in the Samhita section also, which does not have its application in karma, then it's not a pramanam. So they must connect every mantra of the Samhita section with a karma or the other, just for general information. And then only that mantra will have its pramanyam, validity. And that's how a different kind of bhashya is there in the Ishavasya Upanishad, as you will see. Anyway, so coming to our present text of the Chhandogya Upanishad, as I said yesterday, these are the texts not usually taken or taught in this kind of retreats or shivirs, because each text is too long to be covered in the span of a few days. So therefore, we still wanted to communicate this to make people familiar and get the benefit of what these great texts have to teach. That is why we selected the passages from the important chapters of these Upanishads. We selected what we thought were important passages representing the subject matter of that chapter, so that by studying these passages you get the overview of what that Upanishad has to teach. You get the all important aspects of the teaching of that Upanishad. The Chandogya Upanishad has 8 chapters, of which the first 5 chapters are devoted essentially to upasanas, to meditations. It's a little unusual to include all of them in the Upanishad anyway, but all of them are included in the Chhandogyopanishad, even though the first 5 chapters primarily teach with meditations. But meditation is an important preparation for Brahma Vidya, as you saw in the Vedanta Sara. How Karma Yoga is a means of purification of mind, and Upasana or meditation upon the Devatas is the means of the focus or concentration of mind. Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Ekagram. And therefore, many Upanishads include Upasana in some measure, not in such a vast measure. Even Kathopanishad also has Upasanas. By way of the reply to second question of Nachiketa, where Yaramaraja teaches him the Agni Vidya, accompanied with the Upasana of Hiranyagarbha. Mundakopanishad also have some, and some Upanishads don't have any Upasanas at all. Like Mandukya Upanishad doesn't have, Ishavasya doesn't have. Kyono Upanishad, Ishavasya has last mantras, Kyono Upanishad just last mantra. By the way, essentially devoted to the Upanishads. But that way, Chhandogya Upanishad has devoted 5 of the 8 chapters to Upasanas, which also we covered in one retreat by the selected passages. Because they are very beautiful passages, very beautiful meditations they are. Meditations upon the manifest Ishvara, manifest as the universe. And how you see some harmony in this apparently diverse universe. The world before us has a lot of diversity and disparity, inequality. But then there are some harmonies or laws governing the whole universe, connecting everything. Ishvara is the ultimate connecting link to everything. As a self of all, of the sentient, insentient, whatever it is, Ishvara is the essential nature of everything. So that is ultimate connecting link. To know Ishvara, who is the ultimate connecting link, some minor links are given to us, like connecting the various lokas, various beings, various luminaries. They give us a different perspective of how to look at things, how to see the glories of Ishvara. And thus, to those sages, this universe only reminded, not only reminded, they saw nothing but the manifestation of Ishvara. And Chhandogya Upanishad also says, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma Tad Jalanadi. So even in the 5 chapters of Upasana, there are some statements which are the statements of Brahma Vidya, like the one that I just quoted. It's called Shandilya Vidya. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. This is a very famous statement. Sarvam, all of this, indeed, is Brahman. So this is giving us the perception or the drishti of how to see Ishvara. Tad jalaniti shandupasita. How do you say everything is Brahman? Says tad jalan, tad jam, tallam, tadanam. Tad jam. because the whole universe is born of Brahman. So Lam because it merges back into Brahman. That Anam because it breathes, it is dynamic, it is functioning because of Brahman. Meaning Brahman is the one for whom the universe emerges, the one by whom the universe is sustained. The universe is functioning, is dynamic. So Vedanta does not look upon universe as just as an inert entity. It's a very live, intelligent entity. Because there is an intelligence that provides the dynamism to that, the order to that. The activity of the universe is not disorderly thing. It's not a chaos. It's a cosmos. Means there is an order there. Which Puja Swami is very fond of always mentioning. Ishvara manifest as the order. There is a fundamental order of that. There are many secondary expressions of orders. And thus we can see various kinds of orders in the universe. Each one of them can be looked upon as the manifestation of Ishvara. In Viditatmananda also you saw the order obtaining among different luminaries, Agni, Vayu, Surya. And thus this is a very beautiful way of meditating upon Ishvara. Saguna Brahma. Ishvara with attributes. So people think, Swami, what are the attributes you're talking about, Saguna Brahma, So Vedanta in Saguna Brahma is nothing, that's, it's all imagination, nothing. Well, whatever is imagination the universe is, that's the imagination that Saguna Brahma is. Yes, the universe is imagination, no doubt about that. But Brahman manifest as the universe is called Brahman with attributes. Because the omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence of Brahman is manifest in the universe. The 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says how you can see in the whole universe the Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti. Ishvara is all Jnanam, all Ichha, all Kriya. So what is the universe? You can see the knowledge, the omniscience manifest. The Sankalpa, the will manifest. The Kriya, the action manifest. So don't dismiss this. It is a very beautiful way of understanding life, discovering harmony in life. Later on, the same Saguna Brahma is now presented to us as Lord Shiva, as Lord Vishnu. In the Vedic times, the manifestation of Ishvara was with the help of the manifestation of Ishvara, because the universe is manifestation of Ishvara. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Idam Sarvam, all of this is indeed Brahma, of Lord Ishvara. And so the first 5 chapters provide us the various harmonies obtaining in the universe. Like one of them is very well known as the 5 yajnas going on. The universe, the Upanishad describes, and Mundaka Upanishad also we saw, isn't it? Tasmad Agnihi Samido Yasa Surya. So Agni means the heaven, from there comes the Surya, moon, from there comes the rains, from there comes the food, from that comes the life. Seeing the order, which, when we look at it, we don't see any order. We think that everything is different from others, and we don't see any kind of oneness in them. showing the unity in diversity. So this is how you get trained. The ultimate reality is unity in diversity. What the Brahman calls Mahasamanya, the most universal, Asti Bhati Priyam. That is the most universal. But before we see the most universal harmony, we see the lower levels of harmony. So the mind is trained to see the ultimate harmony as Asti Bhati Priyam. And so these meditations are to help us see these different harmonies, meditate upon them, get identified with them, and that's how the mind becomes trained to appreciate the ultimate harmony, which is ultimately my own self. So that is the purpose of upasanas or meditations presented here in the Upanishads. Having done that, in the first 5 chapters of Chhandogyopanishad, then comes the 6th chapter, which is well known, most famous chapter of Chandogya is the 6th chapter, a dialogue between Sri Uddalaka and Shvetaketu. Shvetaketu is a typical young man. He may represent a pre-teen now, he's not yet teenager. So 13 is teen. So 12 also I'm pre-teen, see. I guess he's so anxious to become a teenager. So I think Shvetaketu must have been one of those. And as our Puja Swami says, we are sending our children to KG when the child is 1 kg. That's not right. To separate the child from the mother, from the parents is not right. The child suffers from a sense of abandonment. He will elaborate these things. It's not practical between you and me to keep the child for 12 years and stuff like that. But anyway, so this Shvetaketu did not go to school for 12 years. His father calls him one day, "Hey, you are a Brahmana, don't call yourself Brahma Bandhu, so-called, you should not remain so-called Brahmana. Must become a real Brahmana. Brahma Janati Brahmana." He is called Brahmana who knows Vedas. Brahma also means Vedas. So don't remain a Brahma, the so-called Brahmana. Become a Brahmana. And go to the teacher. It's interesting that Uddalaka does not teach himself Shvetaketu. I guess it will be tough for a father to do that to a son, Although the Tikakaras give him a little off the hook, he must be traveling. The question is, how come he did not impart this Vedas and Vedic knowledge to his son? It's not unusual for father to be the guru and the Shishya to be the disciple. But somehow it looks like, says Uddalaka, the father, chose to send his son to another guru. And Shvetaketu went, stayed there for 12 years, came back, now 24 years, a young adult, Mahamanaha, Anuchanamani, Stabdha Eyaya, Mahamanaha. Nobody possesses a mind, intelligence like I possess. Anucharamani, I'm most learned in the Vedas and capable of teaching and giving lectures. Stabdha, stiff, unbending. So Vidya, Vinayana Shobhate, Vidya should give Vinaya or humility. Knowledge should give humility. Father sees that the son has become stiff. He doesn't bend down, doesn't respect his own father. These days, what does it matter, Swami? Yeah, he doesn't respect. So what? But then those days it was important. Respecting father, respecting elders. Because we respect them. Tapo Vruddha, Jnana Vruddha, Vayo Vruddha. Who are Vruddha? Elders. Elder than us. Even in Vayo Vruddha, age, we respect them. In wisdom, of course, we respect them. If they have more austerity, we respect them. But here Shvetaketu has become too arrogant. But father is father. He is well-wisher of his son. He did not reject or discard his son because he is arrogant. Get out of this house. But I guess he knew his son had some right qualities, but this was an obstacle, or this arrogance was an obstacle. If that obstacle is removed, then he'll be all right. And so the father asks him a question. Uta tamadesam apraksha. O my son, did you ask for that adesha or that truth? Yena ashrutam shrutam bhavati amatam matam avijñātam vijñātamiti. By knowing which everything is as well known, by hearing which everything is as well heard, by reflecting on which everything is always as well reflected upon, by knowing which everything is as well known. He was shaken up from his sleep, from his slumber. So what? How can it be? How can it be that by knowing one thing you know everything? Never heard of that, never thought of it, it's just, and that's how most of his arrogance is gone. There is something that I don't know. So how can it be? How can it be that by knowing one thing you know everything? Yatha ekena mukpindena saram mrunmayam vijñātam sāt. The father says, just as by knowing one particle of earth, you know everything made of earth. Meaning that by knowing the upadana karanam, you as well know all the karya. Then son realized that there is something that he does not know and something that he should know. So all his arrogance is gone. This was a brilliant way. This happens also in another dialogue in Brihadaranyaka between Gargya and Ajatashatru. Same thing. In a different way, the arrogance of Gargya is removed. But gurus do that. Well-wishers do that. They did not reject, did not discard him, and then he said, please teach me. The son was worried that I have come back without learning something, my father will send me back. So he says something that should not have been said. I don't think my guru also knew this. If he had known that I was the very best student, always serving him, he should have taught me. The fact that he did not teach me means he did not know. Now that also would have made him subject to punishment, but his father just pardoned him and then imparted the teaching called the 6th chapter of the Chhandogyopanishad. Paramartha Tattva Upadesha Pradhanapara Shashtodhyaya. Since these students are sitting in front of me, I'll take the liberty of reading some sentences which nobody should think that they are missing out anything. because everything will be explained in English. They also don't have this, what I have. So anyway, Swami Chhandogyopanishad used to be there. He used to tell a story of a guru and shishya. Here this was guru, not of Brahma Vidya or something, of wrestling. Wrestling guru. And a shishya learning wrestling from him. In wrestling there are different ways, the boxing you have seen, wrestling also you have seen, like flattening him. So shishya learned everything. Challenged his guru. It was all right. And guru did something and that fellow was flat. Hey, you did not teach me. That's called katora dav, Which the guru keeps with him for such occasions. So this is katora dav. They don't have what I have. That's the advantage that the guru has. They always keep something with them. At the right time. Anyway, so the 7th chapter comes after 6th chapter. No, that's not a very big information, but anyway. No, what happens is, it becomes the responsibility of the commentators to explain the connection, the purva-para sambandha. Sambandha or sangati, or the connection between what preceded and what follows. Now that's a big burden in all these texts, by the way. I don't know if they are meant to be that way, that doesn't matter. I'm nobody to say that. But anyway, still Bhashyakaras, they always show some connection, one way or the other. So, this is between you and me. This thing you should not say anywhere. This is what Swami said. A few things I tell you is only for us. Because they are not traditional things, I am a traditional teacher, and so if untraditional things I say, skip them from your memory. But I don't know if there has to be a connection between what precedes and what follows. But anyway, they always give us connection. So Bhashyakara does give connection. I'm sure it is so. With the greatest reverence. So Paramartha Tattva Upadesha Pradhana Shashthodhyaya. The 6th chapter was devoted to the Paramartha Tattva Upadesha, the teaching of Paramartha Tattva, the absolute reality. Why is it called absolute reality? Because we have in front of us a universe. It's also a reality. It is called relative reality. Vyavaharika Satta. Vedanta does not say there is no world, there is no universe. It is there. It enjoys a certain reality and you should understand it for what it is. Don't say there is no world. Tino karma hai nahi. It's not there in all the 3 periods of time. Maybe so. But as long as you think there are confronting universe, it is there. And whether you accept it or not, you deal with it anyway. Is it not so? So we must understand. The universe also has a kind of reality called the Vyavaharika Satta, or the relative reality. But it's very clear that what I perceive in front of me and what I experience is not ultimately real by the definition of reality that Vedantins give. What is real and not real is determined by your own definition of what is real and unreal. Therefore, by definition that some people give, this world is real. artha kriya karyatvam, satyatvam, whatever serves the purpose is real. This water is real because it serves the purpose of quenching my thirst. You can't say there is no water. You can't say it doesn't do anything. It serves the purpose. There is another kind of water that does not even serve that purpose. What is that water? Mirage water. Therefore, compared to this water, mirage water is unreal. This is real according to one definition. When you see Mandukya Karika, then they will, how this reality also is shown to be not real. Because this has reality, relative reality. This water is real because it quenches thirst. Does it always quench your thirst? Will this water always quench my thirst? Sometimes I'm dreaming. I'm thirsty. There's no water. I couldn't find water anywhere. And this water bottle is lying right in front of, beside my bed, But this water is not useful, does not quench my thirst when I'm in dream. Therefore, you cannot say that this water always quenches thirst. A thing that consistently does something can be called real. Not it does something in certain circumstances, and not under some other circumstances. It's not reliable. It's not infallible. It's only conditionally serves the purpose. Therefore, it's conditional reality, or relative reality, or vyavaharika satta. So we do not dismiss the universe as non-existent. It does serve the purpose, but it does not serve even our ultimate purpose. The universe serves the purpose of quenching my thirst, appeasing my hunger, protecting my heat and cold and rain. It does serve the purpose. But what is my purpose? My purpose is that I want to be happy. My purpose is I'm seeking happiness. Now that purpose the world doesn't serve. You follow? So hunger and thirst are not my real purposes. The purpose behind quenching thirst and appeasing hunger is to be happy. So happiness is my ultimate purpose. The world does not serve that purpose. Therefore, it serves some purpose, but not the real purpose. Therefore, it doesn't have that reality which can help me to fulfill the purpose of my life. So that which serves my purpose at all the times, at all the places, and all the conditions, that alone is reliable. Our Puja Swami used to say, human being is in search of the infallible. What is infallible? Infallible means that which does not fail you, is always trustworthy, reliable. No, nothing in the world is trustworthy or reliable, because any given thing appears to be one thing from one standpoint. From a different standpoint, the very same thing appears something else. So what looks like useful to me, when I look at it this way, doesn't look the same way when I perceive it differently. Therefore, the world is wonderful. It is manifesto of Ishvara, it's wonderful. But still, it is not infallible, not most trustworthy, because it keeps changing. That is its nature. So I thought that I got exactly what it is, and by the next time, the next minute is different. So that it undergoes change and time. You can't rely upon that. that undergoes change in place, you can't rely upon that also, because one way here, sometimes people are very good in a given situation, something different situation. A person says one thing here and says something else, so time changes, in place it changes, in circumstances it changes. Just because I am useful, then they are one way, I am not useful in a different way. So there is nothing in the universe that can be trusted at all the times, all the places, all the circumstances. Nothing to be, no need to be disappointed or frustrated. That's how it is. If you are frustrated, it's not because of what I think makes me frustrated. I am frustrated because I have an expectation, something that is not designed to fulfill. This thing is designed to fulfill a certain purpose. If I expect from that Pepsi Cola or something like that, it can't serve the purpose. I am disappointed in this. That's your problem, not the problem of this thing, isn't it? So our disappointments and frustrations in life come not because not is what it is because I expect something that it is not designed to fulfill. Ishvara has created the world to fulfill certain purpose. If I demand from the world a purpose which is not designed to fulfill, you can't blame them. We cannot blame anything. Everything is what it is. It is I who has to understand what it is and establish an appropriate relationship with it. That's called Vairagya. That's what Vedanta teaches. The appropriate relationship with the universe is Vairagya. Vairagya doesn't mean hate thing. Vairagya doesn't mean aversion, hatred, dislike. Swami, I have Vairagya now. What happened? I don't like anything. Nothing interests me, Swami. So whether it is Vairagya, is Sattva or Tamas, sometimes Rajas can go either way. It should evolve into Sattva. It can fall to Tamas. Tamas also, the extremes look alike. Fellow is sleeping and when Samadhi they look alike. So also a person is not interested in anything. Looks like a great Vairagya. Maybe he has just no sensitivity at all. So Vairagya is a healthy relationship with the universe. That's the whole idea of the Aparavidya. Dve vidye veditavye iti hasmayat brahmavido vadanti parachaiva aparacha. So this also we have to understand the universe rightly. Vedanta says that we should know everything correctly. We should know universe. It doesn't mean that we have to know how many stars there are and how many grains of sand there are and how many stuff like that. Even if you know, still you don't know anything. We have to know the universe, the reality of the universe. That's what we have to know. Why is it necessary to know that? Because we are born with the conclusion that the universe that I encounter is real. What I perceive is what it is real. What is it real? What is real means it is trustworthy. I can trust that. And this poor human being has been doing it from the childhood, trusting and trusting and trusting and trusting. That's the nature. Child is born to trust. For the child, I'm just repeating what Puja Swami used to say. Child is, mother is God. She's all powerful. And so when the child is in fear, she immediately withdraws into the mother's, under her sari, and gets all the protection. Except one day a cockroach came. And mother screamed. This fellow also ran away, but mother also ran away. They realized that mother is not infallible. The Father, the Omnipotent, came and took the threw away. My Father is, Bhagavan. He's all powerful. Except the thief came for after night, And Father also hid behind something. Thus one by one they realize it, and we all realize. We start with trusting everything, and slowly the trust is violated. We have to have something that we can trust. At all times, at all places, and all conditions. The world can be trusted at a given time, at a given place, under a given condition. But nothing, and there is not a problem with the world. We can't blame because that is how it is meant to be. Swami, why are there disappointments in life? Why all kinds of knocks keep on coming? So that we don't get attached to that. That's the whole idea. Bhagavan wants us, not get attached to this and get engrossed in the unreal thing. So knocks keep on coming one after the other. Now we can look upon that as a punishment, or look upon that as Ishvara's grace. Anyway, that's by the way, but so that which is infallible, the universe is wonderful, but does not fall in the category of when it is said the universe is mithya, that doesn't mean that it is bad. It's beautiful, wonderful. But it's not satyam, that's all. So what is satyam? What is satyam? What's the definition of satyam? Our Swamiji was once giving talks in I think Berkeley in California many years ago. Topic was self-knowledge. So first day, as usual, he keeps elaborating something or the other, and then at the end he said, now I'm going to define what truth is. That is left for tomorrow. That's the style, that's called a punchline, So then one professor from the audience came to Swami after the talk. He said, Swami, you said that you're going to define truth. You're going to define God. God defined is God defined. How can you define God? Come tomorrow. No, I'll come. See, if I tell you right now, you won't come tomorrow. So come tomorrow. Professor urged Swami, he says, no, please tell me. I'll come tomorrow. He says, abhatitam satyam. What cannot be negated is called satyam. That is Vedantin's, definition of satyam. These fellows never tell you what it is, they tell you what it is not, by the way. Abhatitam satyam. What cannot be negated is called satyam. It doesn't say what is satyam, what cannot be negated is satyam. You have to be very careful with Vedantins. Wow, you defined truth. Very satisfied, he went home. Next evening again he came back to Swamiji. Half an hour before the class. Swamiji, I have to see you. Yeah? Last night I thought the whole night on the definition that you gave. What cannot be negated, dismissed is called truth. I thought about it whole night, but there cannot be anything. Everything can be dismissed. When I look this way, that is dismissed. Close my eyes, all the forms are dismissed. Close my ears, all the sounds are dismissed. Go to sleep, all the waking world is dismissed. Everything can be dismissed. There is no such thing as what cannot be dismissed. So your definition is wonderful, but there is no such thing, he says. Come to the class today. I will come to the class, but you tell me. He says you cannot dismiss yourself, you cannot negate yourself. The negator cannot be negated. So there is something that cannot be negated. abhaditam satyam. Thus the satyam, or what is truth, called absolute reality. Because what can be negated in time, place, condition is the relative reality. What is meant by not negative? What is there in time, in all place, in conditions. And what is in all the times cannot be limited to time. What is in all the places cannot be limited to a place. What is in all conditions can't be. That means it transcends the time, place, condition. Transcendental reality. So where is the transcendental reality? Is there a can you transcend? Can you visualize or can you ever know the transcendental reality? Can you? You cannot. Fortunately, it happens to be yourself, so you don't have to. Otherwise, there's a transcendental, we get nervous. So this is, and people are nervous. There is the word transcendental, and so you think you have to transcend something. Yeah, if that transcend is different from you, you can never get it. If really other than you can never get it. And the whole world is therefore running in circles. And ultimately you go to some paradise, hoping that is where it will be. As long as the truth is different from you, it cannot be truth. So Vedanta is simple teaching. You are the truth. Tattvamasi. So that is why ultimately our mind should come back to ourselves. So much importance given to the antahakana shuddhi or purity of mind is because mind is the instrument with which we know. In this case, whatever the instrument with which you know should be tuned up to what it is that you want to know, object of knowledge. So very minute entity, then use a microscope, tune up with that. Is it not so? Far away thing, take a telescope. If the star you want to see is there, you can't direct telescope this way, you have to turn it around where the direction which it is. Tune up. Similarly, mind is the instrument of knowledge in this case. Therefore, the mind should be tuned up. To where it is, become inward looking. Self is very subtle, becomes subtle and pure. Is one, therefore it is focused. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu godotmana prakashade. Where does it come from? Not studied Kathopanishad? Dushyate tvagya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhi. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu godotmana prakashate. Atma is there, Brahman is right here. Is myself, I am that Brahman. Not prakashate, but that Atma does not shine, reveal itself as Brahman, it reveals itself as Jivatma. So when I think of myself, who am I? I'm just a helpless creature. That's how it shows itself to me. Dushyate tvagriya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhi. This becomes sukshmadarshinaha. Sukshmaya, agriya. That's why the sukshma means the antahakana shuddhi, a sattvic mind. Ekagra, free from distraction. So mind in this case is the instrument with which I see myself or know myself. Therefore, they talk of the qualification, the chadana chatushta sampatti. Vairagya is so that my mind is turned away from there towards the self. Samadhi chitka sampatti so that mind is poised and focused and not distracted. Very simple. Vedanta is very simple. Depends on how we talk to you. It can be talked in such a manner that it's beyond everything, and then you are more impressed. People are more impressed when they talk in that language. Oh, something wonderful, something very profound. I didn't understand. That's the difference. This Swami is just something that I understand is not profound. Understand that truth must be simple. Also understand that the test of a scientist is in his ability to explain in simple words to the audience in front of him. He explains other scientists all kinds of equations, but to you and me, those equations won't make any sense. Then the ability of a scientist or any man of knowledge is to be able to explain it simply. That requires clarity. To make it understandable to somebody requires clarity on your part and the ability to communicate. That's what a scientist should have. That's what every teacher should have. So just because something sounds simple, you don't think it is not profound. Or something is, expressed in some very mysterious, mystical language. It becomes profound. I do not want to say I'm all saying is that truth is simple and beautiful. And fortunately, my own self. Means that you are simple, beautiful. That's the best meditation. But anyway, so this is what was the subject matter of the 6th chapter of Chhandogyopanishad. You know the famous statement, Tattvamasi, and that's the Mahavakya always quoted for all analysis. That, Tvam, you or thou, Asi are. That you are, and the Kaivalyopanishad is what? Tat Tvameva Tat. That you are and you are that. So in chemistry there are one-way equation and two-way equations, isn't it? It's a two-way equation. Tat is Tvam and Tvam is Tat. Because this equation is taken one way and many other explanations are also given. Simple thing. You are Brahman. Paramanasa Tattva Upadesha Pradhana. So 6th chapter was devoted to Upadesha or the teaching of this absolute reality which happens to be our own self. Thank God. If that absolute reality happened to be different from us, we could never know it. In fact, we can never totally know what is different from us. If Ishvara also sitting in heaven, and this universe is there, Ishvara is different from the universe. That's the usual picture, isn't it? Bhagavan is sitting there in heaven, Vaikuntha. He is omniscient, all-knowing. But Bhagavan also is different from this world. There is no way that even Bhagavan also can know the world. You cannot know in totality what is different from you. Even this little thing I cannot know in totality. Because when I look at it, I only look at one aspect of it, a part of it. At any time, as long as there is a separation between the knower and known, which is usually the case, the knower can only know a part of the known. This way, that way. Now to know this in totality, how many angles should I know? So you can take pictures this way and that way. How many pictures should you take to completely describe this part? Countless pictures. When will you know this? There is no way that you can know this even one part in totality as long as the part is an object of knowledge. You are knower. This is known as long as the knower, known duality is there. The knower cannot know the known in its entirety. And therefore, if Bhagavan also is sitting away from the universe, he also cannot know the universe in totality. Therefore, to say that Bhagavan in heaven knows everything, now that is not, for Vedanta is not consistent statement. Bhagavan can know the universe, only the universe is not separate from Bhagavan. Bhagavan is separate from universe. Universe is not separate from Bhagavan. So this is what is called the Paramartha Tattva Upadesha Pradhanaha. 6th chapter was devoted to revealing this reality about Paramartha Tattva. That is called Tat, which was said to be Tvam, as your own self. Sadatmaikatva nirnaya parataya, that Sadeva Somi Idamagra said that what is you, what is Sat is you. So this was the 6th chapter. Then how does 7th chapter connect with that? That's what Bhashyakara explains. We'll see it in next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatme Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.